The motives that influenced the expansion of the exploration and colonization was the desire to colonize as much of the Americas as possible.
In the New World, not all Europeans agreed with the idea of slavery. A lot of people actually tried to convince the men in charge to end it altogether. Groups of different people considered slavery to be unholy and said that it violates the right of man. In the New World, not all Europeans agreed with the idea of slavery. A lot of people actually tried to convince the men in charge to end it altogether. Groups of different people considered slavery to be unholy and said that it violates the right of man. Since Christianity was starting to spread beyond Europe and Asia, it began to change. Since America was so separated from the Old World, Europeans were able to be more free with themselves than they were when they were being watched by the church. Discovery of other places with the use of ships spread diseases and decreased the population dramatically. For example, when Cortez discovered the Aztecs, their population started dying rapidly from smallpox, a horrible sickness brought from the Old World to the New one.
The mastery of the compass added to the use of cannons, and better map-making improved navigational skills. With this help, Europeans could hold a steady direction as they sailed and were able to go farther and protect themselves on the seas. The Europeans developed deep draft ships which allowed them to sail in the Atlantic's waters. It improved metalwork techniques that allowed the vessels to carry heavy armaments far superior to the weapons aboard ships of other societies.
The New World economy was powered by silver emerging after 1500. Silver quickly became the global currency of the early modern period. It was a gateway for Spain to build massive armies and grand new public buildings. As trade routes grew between the New World colonies and Old World Europe, the European continent transformed. Europe was changed from a local economy to a global one because of commercial revolution. Increase in international trade brought various regions of the world closer together, which exposed them more widely to international influences known as proto-globalization. The world economy began to gain ground because of this process. The Columbian Exchange was used to describe the enormous widespread exchange of plants, animals, foods, human populations, and ideas between the eastern and western hemispheres that occurred in 1492.
The Netherlands, Britain, and France all chartered great trading companies such as Dutch East India Company. These companies were given government monopolies of trade in the regions designated. New World economic relationships proved highly durable. There was a tendency to build a system of forced labor that would cause little disease. This led to massive importation of African slaves. Mercantilism was an economic theory that stressed government's promotion of limitation of imports from other nations and internal economies in order to improve the tax revenues. This was popular during the 17th and 18th century in Europe. The Chinese government deliberately avoided involvement with international trade on someone else's terms. Beyond this, it depended on extensive government regulation backed up by coastal navy to keep the Europeans in check.
Politics were the driving force for many exporters. For example, the Spanish monarchies wanted to spread their faith and extend their reign. To do this, exploration was needed. Lands other than Americas were claimed in the name of foreign monarchies such as the Philippines and Latin America. Although they were inhabitants, these people was disregarded and the land was taken from them. It might have been a part of economy, but the Dutch and British trading companies became a big part to politics. They had the right to raise an army, and they were given government monopoly of trading companies. Religion was also used to determine whether a country was friend or foe. Religion allied the Hindus and Spanish for a brief moment as the Spaniards mistook the Hindu temples for a Christian place of worship.
When the New World was discovered, many new things were being introduced to the Europeans. Being unfamiliar with new stuff, they did what was best for them. If not for the age of exploitation, the world would be an entirely different place today.